Alright guys, here we're going to talk about Umbrella Academy Season 1, Episode 4. So this was an episode that enraged me because I kept making these predictions, and then they were answering them in the same episode. I'm like, come on, man! I have these awesome things that would have paid off, and I was right, but you found out in this episode. Come on.
What would you like to tackle first? We get some flashbacks.
Everything involving V's boyfriend.
V's
what's
boyfriend.
her name? Vona?
Oh, Vanya's creep-ass new boyfriend.
So
all
like,
right, let's
everything I thought about this guy was true, and I was like writing down things. I'm like, this is going to happen, and then it did happen right away. I'm like, this is going to happen. Did happen right away. I'm like, God damn it.
Do you have examples fresh, or should we just go through and
So
we'll
I'm like, oh, he's going to steal her pills.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's definitely like a creep. He's going to break into her apartment. He's going to do this shit.
Yeah.
Like, he did. And then when you see him dumping the pills, I'm like, God damn it, that was my call.
Do you think that he went back to plant the flowers later, or he'd already?
No,
planted
that was
the
a cover. I
flowers
think
there?
he had already did that while he was getting. Yeah, that's just a thing you do. A prediction that didn't get established in this episode that I'm going to drop now before these bastards come across it is two things.
Stake your claim.
I think he is one of the 42.
Yeah.
He mentions that his mother died, and granted, everyone dies eventually.
Yeah.
But something about it made me think that he is something. I also think that her pills may be suppressing a power that she has, and I think he might have an idea of it, and he's like, no, we are meant to be together. We have the power, something.
No, that's my adjustment, so it's not going to be a magic violin, which I still would have liked, obviously, because I had the same thoughts here, because she mentions, like, we see her taking pills maybe in a previous episode.
Every day.
Yeah, but I don't know if, because here, all at once, we get her thing of, like, I really need those for my nerves. I've been taking them since I was a kid. And I'm like, that's a thing. That's obviously a thing, right?
Yeah.
So her father must have intentionally, whatever, right, did, put her on some medication to suppress whatever it is that she's got going on. Yeah, like
she has some ridiculous power that affects the people around her or something.
Yeah, something.
Can't have that. Suppress that with
causes all that cancer, right? Because this makes sense now that he drilled into her that like nothing special about her and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I still think a lot of our peripheral predictions will come true. That her being off of her meds will make her like awesome at violin and/or destroy that other bitch that's like good at violin or whatever.
I don't
like
think it's going to be as on the nose. I think it'll be something that helps her. I think she will end up taking that first chair.
Yeah, she won't know that's it.
Well, whether she knows or not is not part of my prediction. It's that I don't think the power just makes her better at violin. I think it does something like
it will advance her
confidence is going to get crazy.
It's going to advance her position in some way. Yeah, and we will see. And I'm super interested in that. Like we'd gone back and forth. Like, is it awesome that she has no powers? Is it cliche to give her powers? That's why I was like, maybe she gets important without getting powers somehow, maybe something edgy, but still, it
would honestly be super clever and awesome if the pills were just for her nerves.
Exactly.
And his plan is, I'll get her nervous and off center and off her base, and she'll fall right into my arms, and she'll need me more.
And she'll be my end. Yeah.
So maybe it's not a power thing.
Yeah.
It could be anything. The writing is good enough that I'm like, something unexpected could happen.
I would enjoy it. So like, I enjoy going along for those rides where I go, oh, that means this, and then it meaning something else. So
sure.
I'm told like, anything could always be a misdirect, but I really enjoy that roller coaster of like, oh, he's obviously this, right?
Yeah.
And something about the way that we never saw that other room in the house made me think that after he got caught, he went around the corner and bought flowers and then like hid them there too or something like that. I don't know.
I think
that will never come up again. It was just
I
a
wouldn't
thought
have shown that room while filming it because that's what leaves for the open-ended
for the
suspicion.
thing to happen. Sure.
That's why I was almost surprised when they answered the question in that episode.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's something you should have let hang. I think that could have let made people wonder, and some people would have been like, oh, it's nothing, and other people, oh, it's something.
And then have them come in and be like, okay, you saw him here? Well, he was coming from like your bedroom. And then have her go, and then we all find out what it is or something. Yeah. Because that's what, that was the thing, is like she sees him coming up, up Vanya's hallway. And the second he was out, I would have bolted the door and gone wherever he had been and looked around and been like, what was he doing back here?
Yeah, but who's to say she'd be able even to know about a difference if he stole something, if he did some creepy stuff?
Who would have known about a giant bouquet of flowers? Yes. Yeah. No, so is that all I have here? Yeah, I've been taking these since I was a kid. And then ends with him dumping out the pills. Yeah,
I thought that was... I'm like, why wouldn't you just throw them away? Why dump them into the water system? Why get all our water filled with more pill bullshit?
Now we all have whatever Vanya's on. That's his plan all along.
Yeah. He's essentially the Sandman from, or Scarecrow rather, from Batman.
No, he's a Sandman. He's putting us all to sleep.
Indeed.
With his awful, whatever. Yeah, so to me, him saying, you weren't in that umbrella thing, were you? Is like right up there with like, we're like some sort of Suicide Squad. Like it's this weird, like line to like drop into a thing.
No, it's worse than the Suicide Squad line because it's like, were you in that thing that was one of the most popular things of all time 10 years ago?
Famous, like,
versus we're some sort of a thing that hasn't been actually named yet. Like, it's different.
Yeah, right. Like, kind of giving it the name versus like that's when I knew because it's so obvious that like something's going on with him, and it better not be nothing because then I like won't even believe them. Right? It'll be such an like over misdirect for them to be like, why is he pretending not to know about the Umbrella Academy in this universe? Like that's when everyone found out superheroes were real. Right? Whether
it should be
whether there were X-Men or not.
You still on top of that, she's also one of the most famous people in that world, period.
Because she wrote the book that broke the story of like.
No, I meant her sister, who's a fucking celebrity.
Yeah. Well, he recognizes her. He's like, "Oh, you were in that movie, right?" She's like, "Yeah, that was me."
Yeah.
Right. But no, like that should be the most interesting thing that has ever happened. Is Vanya's book, the existence of superheroes, and it isn't like that was secret. They had a fucking alarm and were stopping bank robberies and doing press conferences.
Yeah.
So there were like you're saying, there's like a solid 10-year or something period. Maybe they're only active for a few years, but during those years, the whole world finds out that superheroes are real.
Even if for 1 year you had a superhero team actually solving cases, I'd be like, yeah, that's going to be remembered forever.
Everyone would know the name. Having an Umbrella Academy tattoo would not even be unusual. It would be this whole meme. It would be like a whole thing. Everyone would be into it.
The fact that the comic exists.
Yes, which is a whole
based on your exploits.
Yes. Okay. Speaking of tattoos and powers. And 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, whatever it is, Luther.
Yes.
We get to see his history.
Yeah, so Luther, it seems like, so it's weird. So he was injected with stuff, but it seems like he also just became gorilla. Like,
I believe that's what the serum does to you.
It's a weird thing, the idea that a serum converts you, and not that you were like, because it looked, the first time we saw it, like it was a skin graft. It didn't look like it was something that just naturally happened, and it's not natural, so I guess what would that look like? Who's to say? But like, why do you have a gorilla gorilla?
I think it has something to do with Pogo because he says, so what's Pogo to you then? Just an animal? Like when he's yelling at his dad or whatever?
Well, I thought that was... I took that as just that, like you're calling me an animal. So are you saying he's just an animal? Like, this guy's our fucking butler. Exactly. I wasn't taking that to be necessarily serum-related.
Like having animal properties shouldn't make you an animal. Like, the dad obviously has some sort of biochemical research stuff happening or whatever because of his ability to
he has all kinds of research.
He's so robotic research, genetic research. Yeah,
he's a brilliant monster.
So he's an evil and brilliant man. I just took it to be like, this is still experimental. It's not ready yet. It has weird side effects, but it may save his life. We have to try it, and it does.
But it makes me wonder then, where it's like, okay, Pogo, is he a chimp that they did stuff to, or did he put a serum into a guy and turn him into a monkey?
Made a little monkey man. It's possible.
It's hard to say.
That would be interesting.
Because if this serum makes you Gorilla Man. And because he doesn't seem like a gorilla.
So in the flashback, I thought it like looked a lot better. His fingers were very like Planet of the Apes
those
fingers.
Those seems to have changed.
And him with his beard and like screaming and everything, I was like, oh, this is awesome. The Jack in the Box, whatever, was a little too much
on the nose.
Yeah, on the nose. But like overall, I was like, this is the whole thing. Where like you see him not, and you're like, oh, this is before whatever happens, and then like it's like that day apparently, right? And then he even says like, you don't have to call me number one anymore, and his dad's just like, huh? And like whatever. And I'm like, oh man, this dude, so brutal or whatever, right? Because everyone else has pieced out. They're like, we don't want to do this anymore. But he was the guy. He's like, I'm number one. I'm the leader. I have to stay, right?
Yeah.
This informs all of his stuff now in like the present day. It's like, it's good stuff.
No, it's very, very strange to me. Like, I need to know
the
more
logistics
about
of it,
the serum and exactly what that does. And
I kept thinking about your point before, where I was like, well, I assume everyone's just souped up in general, and you're like, no, they've just been training, and I'm like, okay, but then what is Luther's power then, and did the serum make him even better, or is he just bigger? Because if he can go toe to toe with like a normal human or whatever, and like what even is his power? I thought his power was strength or like whatever, toughness, whatever you want to call it. So Like, how is that even a thing? Why was Hazel even like an issue for him or whatever, right? It seems
Hazel
very
has
strange.
to have some shit going on.
Yeah, something, right?
It has to.
Well, but then your point about the briefcase being heavy to him or like whatever, but then Klaus is able to just steal it. So I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's not like impossibly heavy. It's just like a somewhat heavy briefcase.
Exactly.
Klaus uses 2 hands, but still I'm like, well, all right, like whatever then. So like, as much as I enjoy not having a big screen and like Professor X explaining power levels or whatever, this is so far in the opposite direction that I'm second guessing myself of like, wait, what is his power? Is he even that strong? What's happening, right?
I'm picturing there has to be something like either mechanical or something about it,
about Hazel.
Yeah, like he has a shield or something because he takes hits that I'm like that doesn't make sense. Like
yes, and like the helmets are obviously something, but then just him seems to be able to do stuff.
Yeah,
right.
He like fought.
Yeah,
and I'm like, all right,
and,
what?
And again, they were doing like pro wrestling, like luchador. He was like a luchador. He had a big mask on.
Luther
he was body
must
slamming
weigh
people.
So much.
Yes, and he lifts him over his head.
Yeah.
To like whatever back.
Because if you just took like me. And just used like me as a cookie cutter and Luther as the dough. How many of me could fit into Luther? Do you know what I mean, though?
Yes, I've never heard it quite described that way.
I'm here to throw shapes.
Exactly.
Luther's easily 4 times
me.
Exactly. Luther has to weigh like 800 pounds.
Maybe, yeah.
Right?
Certainly 500, right? Certainly getting up there. And like for one human to lift some other
his
human
arms and
takes
legs
so much
are
strength.
like because.
Yeah,
both of my legs together are like his legs.
Yeah.
Like
does he have big legs or is it like a weird goofy little legs and just
everything
big
about him
or
is
something?
Gigantic.
Yeah, but it's like misproportioned in this really interesting way. I like it a lot.
He's too big.
He's too big. Shrink him down. He's too big.
Yeah.
No, I like this his peeling back the history thing.
Sure, no, the more the better in that regard.
Yeah.
I like to know things. The more information I have in a superhero world, the better I am to understand what's happening.
Like we have 6 episodes left, and I feel like it's more than enough time. Whenever it's appropriate for the main present day plot, we're gonna find out. Right, because last time it was 5, this time it was Luther. We're gonna see, like, how does Ben die? What does Allison do that makes her swear off, doing the rumor thing anymore? Right, like we get to flash.
You think we'll ever
over
see
those
Ben
things. Die or do his thing? Maybe not.
Anything.
That would be interesting if they didn't do it.
In my head, there's not enough episodes left to give him an episode.
Interesting.
So it would only be a little taste, and is a taste worth it?
We've gotten multiple tastes in the same episode. We got a taste of Klaus here, I would like a taste of Ben just to see either how he died, because like who feels most guilty about his death? Is it Klaus? Is that the whole deal, or is someone else involved?
Klaus is certainly closest to it, just
on account of his.
Yeah. I want to know why he still hasn't seen his dad.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because he's not dead.
No, he's dead.
Because he's not
never alive.
Dead. Yeah. What? Because he was never alive. Like, no, he may not be dead. I've been thinking about that. I don't know, because they just got ashes and they got a coroner's report. I don't know if anyone ever like touched his dead body or not or whatever.
I don't know.
Maybe Pogo made all the arrangements and like he's not dead.
That'd be interesting. That's a dangerous game, though, when you're like 93 to fake your own death, because you could just die in the middle of that.
No, well, maybe he didn't do it alone. Maybe we have to get I was going to say the Academy. I keep almost saying a corporation, like we've done, the Umbrella, but we have to get the Academy back together because of this looming threat that ends the world. What, well, they would never do it, even if we asked, but this can get them all together, or whatever. Ha ha ha.
Maybe.
I have no idea. It's going to be like a tight season. There's like a lot to do.
Yeah. Well, they killed off Diego's girlfriend.
How do you feel about that?
I thought it was effective because I didn't expect it.
Okay, agree.
And that's itself is a thing.
Yeah.
Like I didn't expect it leading into the scene, but once the scene started, you were like, all right, well, there's 2 of them in there. I know there's 2 of them in there. So and you only know about one of them, so you're going to die.
And you've seen too much already, so we can't explain this otherwise. No, I agree. Like, they set up a dynamic, and they acted like they had all the time in the world, which I think is very like symbolic almost of how they she interacts and she talks to Diego. Like just from watching TV for so many years or movies, I just assumed like that's what happens, and then eventually she helps them and goes, "Oh shucks, I guess you guys got to do your thing." And it's like very clear where it's going, and then like no, it's not going there.
That was nice.
She dies. Yeah, it was unexpected.
And that and Diego pretty much losing everything.
Yep.
Because he's not really close with the family. he loved Mom.
Turn
Mom's
off Mom.
gone.
Yeah.
Now his girlfriend's gone. He has sweeping. That's all he's got.
He just sweeps. Sure. Yeah.
A little sad. I don't particularly like when a character loses everything.
No, I love that. That's my favorite thing. I'm saying it in like a funny way, but I unironically like that.
I like a character to get a taste of winning and like to lose everything but have the ability to get it back. And I don't know that he has any of that ability because I don't think anyone has the ability to fix Mom. I don't think they bring people back to the dead. Maybe Klaus could translate something for him.
I think Klaus may do something. I was going to say that.
Certainly possible.
Something will happen there. There's interesting stuff. Like I like when characters lose everything or like bad stuff happens because then it gives them the opportunity to actually. And people often, writers, producers handle this poorly. But I think it's like the closest thing. Like it's the highest risk, highest reward play that you could possibly make. So now, like Diego was so shitty to everyone, and now he can actually, has a reason to grow and change and like consider other things. So I'm like, okay.
Or go off the rails.
Either way, I'm happy. Either way, I'm happy. Right? He gets to go Nightwing some people again, or whatever he's doing.
Oh, and you'll see that, I'm sure.
I am sure too.
What else happens in this episode? What does 5
A lot
do?
of it is about 5 finds out about black market eyeballs. He's staking out. There's a whole thing. It's honestly like a blur to me. He's like staking out the doctor. He sees him throw a duffel bag in a car, and he's got his Dolores, and he's talking to her, and then things happen, and then eventually he gets picked up drunk by Diego and Luther, who are bonding a little over it.
Yeah,
but,
because Klaus got the two hitmen high, and they burned down the place.
How'd you feel about that scene? I was a little... I'm a little about the whole thing.
I didn't hate it.
They play the music, they're dancing, things happen or whatever. It was a little weird.
I didn't think it was realistic, but I didn't hate it.
What about the 2 time-traveling assassins torching the biomedical laboratory was unrealistic to you?
It was how hard they got hit. I'm like, how effective was this pot brownie or cookie? Like the 2 of them eating different pieces of the cookie. Because when they finally are going kind of mad and burning the place down, there's still like half the cookie left.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I thought it was a candy bar, and I thought they were...
whatever it was.
Klaus probably has the good shit.
I'm sure Klaus does, but Klaus only had like $80 or something, and he bought like they're crushing pills, they're crushing dust, they're taking this cookie or whatever the fuck it was. So
I would say that's a plot hole because he was already like, I'm out of drugs, and now he has so many drugs.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
But maybe to him that's out.
Yeah, right. Maybe
I need so much more than that.
This is as many drugs as I need just to get from here to there, and it's not really getting high. Sure. But he seems to really hate them crushing the drugs, which I liked a lot. I feel like we kind of predicted this too, where he's going to be like a huge handful. They're like waterboarding him. He's like, "Thank you."
Yes, I'm so thirsty.
So thirsty. Like he's such a dick about it too, and it's so good. And like she's choking him, and he gets a hard on or whatever, and he's like, almost there or whatever. Like it has that that edge to it of like when you interrogate Bruce Willis or Ryan Reynolds in a movie, and they're just like, or whatever. Like you're right.
Only he annoyed them a lot more.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like the most annoying way to do it. And like without that, also Arnold Schwarzenegger thing of like, my handcuffs, I picked them. Like there was no like turn. He had no plan. He was just like, nope, screw you.
Yeah.
Please let me go. Oh. Like he was
I love when he takes the briefcase, but also goes through the duct.
Yes.
He like leaves through the duct.
He only takes the briefcase because it's like in his way. It's so good.
He's also hoping for gold. He's like, what's in here?
Sure. Please be money. Please be money. Yes, but it seemed like he's just like, I can't get around this thing. I'll just push it all forward and just goes with it through the duct. Yeah. No. He's like a weasel. It's wonderful.
Now, so flash forward to on the bus, he escaped, he has the bag, he opens it up, and it, like, time warps him.
Yeah, he bamfs out of there.
I'm wondering if that takes them, like, I wonder how the case exactly works. Like, is it open the case, go back to, like, the home headquarters type of thing?
Yeah, I assumed it was, like, this is your, like, return trip or whatever. But it's possible you open it and it's a whole time machine, which you like, configure or something like that. Say? So I don't really know.
Interested to see how that goes, because that leads to a whole lot of possibilities to have a, kind of a fiend with the ability to travel in time. He could fuck all kinds of shit up.
Yeah, I wonder how much control he has over it, or if he can even figure it out. But
even just getting sent back to the 1950s, it's gonna be interesting.
It presents a lot of interesting, because now it's like, well, what's gonna happen next episode? And to your point, it's like maybe it opens up and Klaus is like a gangster, or he's flying on a hoverboard. Like I have no, it could be anything.
Yeah.
And having someone else, like especially with the past, to like affect the timeline, or the future to find out more about the reality of the apocalypse, like it's win-win. It's all good.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just gonna be Five like talking more, right? And now maybe we find out. Maybe Klaus meets old Five or something in some other timeline.
That could be interesting too.
It could be anything. But then why doesn't young Five remember meeting old Five? It must happen. It can't happen after because he's gone now. Or maybe he acorns and it doesn't work like that. It's great. I love the way I feel when I think about that stuff. I love that mental
Or
state,
maybe he'll just all of a sudden remember it now because it hadn't happened until then. Time travel's an interesting bitch like that.
You can do whatever you want with time travel because it makes no sense, and I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah.
Before we move on, though, Klaus used his power of the dead to his advantage.
Yes,
it
for
actually
the first
came
time,
into play. Yes, and we get the flashbacks, like I was saying before, about his dad, my God, being like, "Are you over it yet, you little bitch?" And he's like, "Please let me out." And he's like, "Few more hours," and slams the door in his face. I'm like, oh my God. He's just in the dark in like a mausoleum, like freaking out, scared of all these demons.
And it makes sense.
Ooh, girl, that's tough. And it didn't work. He's not over it. It gave him horrible PTSD that he self-medicates with drugs. Yeah, it's real good stuff. Yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering what other things he could do with this power. If there's ways other ways to exploit it.
It doesn't seem like a great power, honestly.
Well, everything's great if you use it accordingly.
I know.
And he is certainly not. Like, you can make a lot of money with this power.
Yes.
He's not.
No. But I really like to finish the thing, like him now driving the wedge between Hazel and Cha-Cha by saying, "Oh, she's so happy you let her husband go," or vice versa, whatever it was. You let her go or whatever. And then Cha-Cha's like, "Oh, what? Excuse me, private meeting. What are you talking about? You said you killed him." And it's like, "Oh, he was, and he's trying to like explain it. Because he is a big softy at heart.
He's
That's
a nice
really
enough guy, and I like the character. Cha-Cha and Hazel, there's going to be some things. I wonder if we're going to get different things with them throughout time, or if they're in their prime timeline, or if we're going to see them older and younger in things.
Yeah, like we're not quite sure how time travel works, and we're not quite sure if this is a time travel show or not, right? Because a time travel show like Doctor Who takes the time travel and like plays with it and does stuff with it, right? A non-time travel show like Terminator or whatever, time travel's there, but it's just to be like, that's why this is happening. Now we do the thing, right? And I still don't know 4 episodes in what type of show this is, because it's obviously a show with time travel, but is it a time travel show? I don't know.
Yeah.
Ooh, but I love that little tickle feeling that you get when you're like, anything could happen. It's great.
Sure. Other characters we're missing in the timeline?
Well, we can just go down the list of all the characters on the show.
What else do we got?
We talked about everyone.
Did we?
Vanya's taken care of. Luther has a lot of attention here. We gave special attention to Diego and his situation. I have him listed. Allison doesn't really do all that much. She has some FaceTime with Vanya.
Yeah,
but,
nothing really.
Yeah.
They're bridging the gap there. They're talking to each other again.
I do like them like mutually apologizing and being like, that was shitty, because the way the show's, like something we are building, like we have that ticking clock anyway. We are building towards a thing happening, right?
Yeah.
And 5 is crushed because the eyeball factory burned down. Now he lost his only lead, basically, right? Which is an interesting. So he's going to sober up. We're going to see like what his next move is going to be. I hope, because it's getting boring to me that he's just like, we're doomed, and he's all like cynical and all that stuff.
Well, he's got, 3 days left?
Yeah.
He's got to fucking figure it out.
He does, and like he needs to rally, and I feel like episode 5 or 6 is like a perfect time to do that, so we're going to hopefully do something with that or whatever. Ben is just there in the hotel room, which is great. There's a line where they're like, "Is your brother here now?" And then he like turns to Ben, who's on the bed, and goes, "Yep, you have to be more specific," or whatever. Like, I don't know what you mean, or whatever. It's like really, really good.
It is.
Fuck, that doesn't narrow it down.
No.
And Vanya, we talked about.
I guess that's everything.
That's all the characters. Again, I like where this is going. I like. I
like this show a lot. It's a unique experience for me because I like entering a superhero show where I don't know anything going into it. I have no preconceived notions. I've not read anything about this. So everything is nice and fresh, and most things are not that way.
Yeah, do you mean like stuff where like it's been a comic book for 40 years and everyone knows everything, and then they make a show and you're like, this show sucks? Like that whole thing that we're entrenched in our day-to-day lives.
most superheroes I have some idea about, and this one I have nothing going into it, and I really enjoy that. It's nice to be surprised to watch a movie where I'm like oh, I wasn't expecting anything. I didn't know anything. It's like when you watch something without knowing the trailer. I'm like, what is this? Oh my God, this is aliens? Like this is great.
You're right. It's like so rare these days not to have some input and some pre knowledge or like idea about what's happening. No, and like this feels like it was made in a post-superhero world. When you dropped the thing about it being the My Chemical Romance guy, I was like, that's perfect, right? There's a whole thing where someone who was exposed to all that was like, I'm going to make my own thing, and it's going to be different. It's kind of like how Watchmen was for this for the Silver Age comic books, right? Where it's like, we're going to take those elements and make them different, like realer, grittier maybe, but also like, not what you expect, because that would be boring, right? So already with the time travel and one of them can see dead people and one of them's dead and one of them's a gorilla man for no reason, but then you find out, like, I trust the show when they show me something that it's either going to matter or not, and I'm going to, I'm not worried that things are going to be dropped or like abandoned or swept under the rug or like patched over with some bullshit. Like, I trust whenever anything happens that it means something and they're going to do one thing or the other with it for some reason.
Yeah,
right?
The writing hasn't let me down yet. The visuals are good. Very excited about it.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. All right, guys. That was this episode. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.